Hello guys, how are you? This is Rox, Salón de Idiomas. So today is gonna be me, the one who hosts the podcast. Usually Alonso, as you may already know, but he decided to take some holidays. Really deserved ones because it's really hot and perhaps we've done so many podcasts, he might need a break. But anyhow, I have a really interesting guest today. His name is Juan.
Yes.
Juan
Hello.
is one of our students. He's been with us for some time now. And Juan, what can you tell us about yourself?
Well, yes, as you have already said, my name is Juan Antonio. I am 24 years old and I've been with Salón de Idiomas for a year and a half, I believe. And, I live in Madrid and I am eager to learn English and I really like these conversations where we improvise, so I hope this is a good conversation and you like it also.
It will be for sure. So one of the reasons why we decided to ask Juan Antonio to come with us is because, not only is it because he's such a great guy, you can have so many interesting topics to talk about.
Thank you.
But also because he speaks really nice English and he has a pretty good ability of facing in vocabulary. Now you have a lot of pressure in yourself,
Yeah,
right?
honestly, I'm a bit scared because supposedly I am in charge of introducing certain high-level vocabulary. Well, let's see how that turns out.
Yeah, I think it's going to be okay. You'll see it. So what we're going to basically do here is that we're going to introduce some topics and then we're going to be talking about those topics by gradually introducing high-level vocabulary. Those can be either verbs or adjectives, idioms, phrasal verbs, you name it. And but I think the gist is going to be just talking about this, okay, to see how that works. To make it easier for you, we're going to make these words appear on the screen while you listen to us so you can see what those words are, okay? And you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. Let's see what happens.
Okay, so the first topic is the one that appears now on the screen. Yes, so we're going to be talking about 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. I guess you have already heard about it, right?
Yes, I guess that everyone has heard about this 2030 agenda at some point of their lives. In fact, it may be quite bothering how pervasive this agenda is in our current debates, and sometimes it's quite strange, at least.
Yeah, it's been so far-reaching, right? So there's no place in the world you haven't heard about 2030 agenda.
Yes, exactly. It's extremely ubiquitous. So you
Yeah,
find that
great
everywhere.
word.
And but at the same time, I think we should lighten a bit this debate because it's not that dire. So it's just some goals that are quite are really positive and beneficial for everyone.
Yeah.
I suppose that the main issue might be in how to implement those policies that are necessary to reach these goals.
I got it. Yeah, so when establishing this agenda, there needs to be taken, some measures need to be taken, and that's what's actually frightful for many of us, like cutting down on the number of cars in the city center and so on and so forth.
Yeah, it's true that the 2030 agenda, at least as far as I know, as far as I'm concerned, it's something that involves all the countries around the world. Therefore, this leads to a lot of controversies whether countries are implementing the same policies or not. For instance, here in the European Union, we have certain policies towards fabricating batteries with carbon energy, with carbon fuel, and in China, they don't. So it's this debate of why we are buying these batteries in China and not producing them here if the atmosphere is the same for everyone.
I got it. Okay, yeah, so it's quite a contentious topic.
Yeah, it's really a contentious topic and a very complex one, at least as I see it. So, it's quite the elephant in the room in nowadays politics. In a way, I would rather not delve into this topic per se, but debate more on what today's debate are lacking in order to be fruitful.
Okay. So you're taking a different outlook here, okay? Like
Yes.
debates.
Yes, because I believe that we won't be able to reach any conclusion,
Yeah.
or at least any valuable conclusion in this, chat.
Yeah.
So I believe it's more useful, to speak about debate itself. In fact, I have written some notes.
Okay.
From
As usual, you surprise me for the best.
Well, thank you very much. I hope this will be quite interesting for all of you.
For sure.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and so I was watching a YouTube video.
Okay.
Which is where I really train my English the most, in YouTube. And I have written...
Take note of that. YouTube, our podcast.
Yeah. And I have written 4 steps that are really useful to debate and to make useful debates, which is what we are talking about.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So tell me what you think about this.
Okay, go
Your
ahead.
thoughts on these steps. So the first one is it real? So in opposition to a misunderstanding. So the debate that we are showing, or we are... So the debate that is taking place,
Yes.
it's revolving around something that is real, or it's just a misunderstanding. Maybe we should...
Okay.
Maybe you sometimes start a debate and then you realize that...
It's not a factual thing.
Exactly. It's just a
Okay.
misunderstanding of how you communicate or whatever. So the first step is just to really make sure that that debate is real. You are
Indeed.
debating about something really real, and also that both sides of this debate agree on what we are debating on. So we are going to debate on this specific thing.
Okay, so not any blurred idea that someone might have which doesn't stem from reality, right?
Yes, and also there is a risk of in the same debate starting a lot of new themes and topics and not abiding by the original disagreement. So it's really useful to say, okay, we are disagreeing on this.
Yeah, definitely. And actually, this reminds me of a thing which, unfortunately, many of us seem to be having, which is the lack of coherence in our thoughts. Because that might be totally related to what you're actually saying here.
Absolutely.
Okay, because you have like a slight idea of what you're actually debating about, but then when it comes to giving arguments and when it comes to having your idea clear, nothing. Okay, you run out of ideas because you might not have that thing clear, mostly because you lack of coherence.
Yes. In fact, probably the best disagreements are the ones which start with an agreement. So
that's interesting.
Yeah, this is a good starting point. So following the next step, it would be: is it important enough to justify the disagreement? So we might disagree on something.
Yeah.
But where does the importance of that disagreement relies on? Why is this an important thing to debate about? And it may seem, quite, obvious or silly to really decide why that's important, but it also may help to be more coherent and also to see why this is important. Then we can debate in a more fruitful way. Yes.
Indeed, yeah. And guys, pay a lot of attention to this, because one of the things we need to bear in mind, and not just when speaking English, but also when we do official exams, is to actually be capable of disagreeing and providing good arguments to the examiner or the one who's actually evaluating us.
Yes, in fact, I believe that the best way to introduce high-level vocabulary is having good arguments to explain, complex things that you want to express, and therefore you will use.
That's a good point, but this raises the question, how do we come up with strong arguments in such a short notice? I mean, like 2 minutes that we usually have at hand when we're doing an exam.
Yes, indeed. Of course, it depends on your previous knowledge about that topic. Maybe you're lucky with that topic that day, but maybe not. And also, it's paramount to reflect upon whether is it specific enough, this what we are debating about, in order to make any progress at all. So when we debate about something or whatever, I think it's really, really important to be specific. And to really focus our arguments on the same point and not to be like a blurry idea where we are not
Okay.
sure if we are talking about this or that.
Does this mean that we should be providing short answers or not too long arguments?
Well, I suppose if you can justify a long answer, that's okay, but probably short answers will be much better.
Okay.
I think that's a good advice.
Yeah, and actually this goes in line with how this language, English, works. Most of the sentences, being this kind of a scientific-like language, not that romantic as Spanish, most of the sentences tend to be shorter. So our recommendation, or at least my recommendation for any kind of debate or official exams when you write or when you speak is making sure that you don't linger for too long, because the longer your answer, the less likely you are to be coherent and the more prone you are to actually make mistakes.
Yeah, that's right. Absolutely. But we were debating about...
Indeed, sorry. Let's go along the same lines,
Yeah. No, I mean, of course, this is also true. But in an exam, you are just being evaluated. They are evaluating your English, your vocabulary, or whatever. And it's really related to public debate. But there are certain things that are important in a public debate which are not important in an evaluation. For instance, coming to an agreement or to decide what to do in an exam, that is not important at all, obviously. So the last point that I'd like to make about this is to ask whether the parties engaged in this disagreement are aligned in the objectives, in the goal of this debate itself.
Okay.
So what do we want to get out of this debate?
Okay.
For instance, just to put an example to make this point clearer, I believe that in today's public debate, the goal is to hurt the other side. Hurt the other side, or maybe just be able to demonstrate that my ideology is the right one and to implement certain policies no matter what. So the debate is not a tool for me to find truth. It's just a tool for me to try to implement what I already believe.
Okay, I see. So just debate for the sake of debating, going along the same lines of my own ideas. Exactly.
Okay. So I believe it's really important to highlight the importance of the alignment of both sides in what are we doing debating? Why do we want to debate?
I see.
If there is not a predisposition of really changing our minds or coming to an agreement, seeing what do we agree in, what it's really useless, and it's what happens nowadays.
It's funny because I can actually relate this to my own experience. I realize that at times, not always, but at times, I may stick too strongly to my ideas, and there is like a kind of reluctance to give in because you believe that you are actually losing your own, your own ideas or your own self. And I've been witnessing this quite a lot, honestly, as well in my classes. There is this like strong shield of, defending your own thoughts, no matter whether they are good or bad. So there's like a few, it's tough. It's tough to leave that shield behind and to debate and to actually say, you're right. You're right.
I mean, yes, you are.
Is it a human thing?
I suppose, yes, you are undoubtedly right with that. It's just natural to defend our own ideas because our ideas, I suppose, that are really related to who we are, to our own identity. Okay. And our ego is really...
reluctant.
Yeah, that's right. Our ego is really reluctant to accept that we were wrong or that our ideas were wrong from our beginning. But, if we pursue our, community benefit, we should really develop that, that way of pursuing truth or maybe.
Okay, so what you're basically saying is that if we take into account and if we are aware of the importance of our community, we might be less stuck to our thoughts, or we should be less stuck to our thoughts because the community is the aim.
Yeah, that's exactly right. It's just a matter of giving less importance to our ego.
Okay.
And yes, being wrong is nothing wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong about being wrong, right?
Exactly. Yeah, that's what I meant. And trying to really not give that much importance to ourselves in these matters.
Yeah.
And understanding that it's for the best for everyone to really try to unveil better ideas or better ways of thinking. And in fact, I believe that one of the heralds of this way of thinking and of approaching debates, I know that it's one of your idols.
Okay, yeah.
And it really reminds me a lot this kind of conversation that we are having about him, which is Jordan Peterson.
Okay, yeah. I have to admit, guys, there is this guy which I so much look up to because I believe one of the things why I look up to him that much, Jordan Peterson, is he's really smart. I mean, there's no words to define his intelligence, but I guess one of the things which I so much admire about him is his ability of being coherent, of being true. Like every word he utters is true to himself, to his ideas. So that's something that I really look up to, something that I would like to be capable of doing. Like the way he expresses himself, it's amazing. He's Canadian, so of course he's a native speaker, but no matter that, the most important thing is how he expresses himself. Now, despite the ideas he might, he might defend or anything, I think that's one of the reasons, the biggest reason why I do admire the guy so much.
I mean, yes, certainly. It has nothing to do with that he's a native or not. It's more than that. It really strikes me a lot how he uses the exact amount of words to convey what he wants. You cannot take any word out of his speech. It's just the right amount of words to convey really, really specific ideas.
Indeed.
And it's really inspiring in a way. I believe that everyone, even if you disagree a lot with him, everyone would love to debate as he does and to speak as he does in our daily lives. It would be like so proud to do it.
Indeed, yeah, that's the top level of coherence ever. I mean, the guy doesn't beat around the bushes. He just
Absolutely.
It's not that isn't only that he's straightforward, which he is, but he's capable of choosing the correct word for every thought or every verb or adjectives he wants to convey. So yeah.
Yes, and it's not only a matter of intelligence itself. For instance, if we see intelligence as the ability to debate any argument, wisdom then is the ability to recognize which argument has to be debated and which one not. And he's a master of this in real debates, in real-time debates, where he really focuses on what he wants to debate, and he really knows how to answer and to what answer. And it's really common in his interviews to ask the other person, the other side, the other party, to explain themselves better. So what are you really trying to tell me?
Yeah.
What do you mean with this?
I think that's a trait of his therapist. He's a psychotherapist, so the guy really knows how to handle people.
Probably. Yeah, and I think that's extremely useful to ask to the other one. What are you trying to really say with this, with that? And when you have specific thing, when you show your cards, then it's much easier for you to argue about those kind of stuff.
You were talking about the idea of community when debating, and you were relating it to Jordan.
Yeah.
I think there is a video about that. We're going to post it really shortly here, if you want to take a look at it.
If you just do what you want right now all the time, one of the problems with that is you're going to get yourself in trouble. And everyone knows that. This is why 2-year-olds can't really live on their own, because they're whim predicated with no thought whatsoever for the iterating consequences of that into the future.
Okay, so quite a video. We have watched it the whole video. If you want to watch it, if you want to watch the whole version, you just click on the link that we leave below our podcast. But yeah, so Juanan, what are your thoughts on it?
Well, yeah, I mean, this is a surprisingly good example of what we were debating earlier. And just to debate, the master of debates. And now that we have a specific topic relating to what we were discussing, I'd like to say that, of course, he's certainly he right about thinking of future and not immediate pleasure in a childish way, as he explains. But albeit that, it's also really important not to live thinking about the future, because that really can lead to be quite hurt, to live in the future, not in the present.
Okay.
So, to kind of be more precise about what he's trying to explain, about what I believe that he's trying to explain, obviously, I would also consider the fact that there might be two ways of enjoying the present. He's describing this childish one, which would be the wrong or the bad one or the detrimental one, whatever you want to think, of immediate pleasure and to seek another reality. I want to change reality. I want this and I want that. I don't want things to be like this. I want things to be like this. So this kind of way of trying to pursue something that is not what life gives you. And
indeed, yeah.
Yeah, in a way, life gives you what it gives you, period.
Yeah, sometimes lemons and sometimes oranges.
Exactly. But for me, at least, there's another way of enjoying the present, which is a really mature one. And I am sure that Jordan Peterson, if you are hearing this, you might agree with me. I hope that you are hearing this. He might agree with this anyway, which is to accept reality and accept the present as it is, and just to live the present in this more acceptance way, more Epicurean way.
Okay, so you are not focused on an hedonistic way, like just enjoying and making the most of it, squeezing the most of the present. It's not that way you're actually talking here about.
Yeah, exactly. Is what you are saying, is to try to accept reality. Of course, you're going to make some future plans. This is not about being passive in life, to have goals or to try to improve your life.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. That's necessary, obviously. But to really be able to accept present and to even to believe, because it's kind of a faith in a way, that the non-presence of bad is good itself. Not to seek something more, a stimulus, a pleasure. No, just enjoy what is right now. I think that's a good message also, and it really differs from that childish view that Jordan Peterson portrays of seeking pleasure constantly
in the present.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Maybe we should create a reel on that. You can live the present without actually being an hedonist.
Absolutely.
And without squeezing the most of it just for the sake of enjoying the most of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Interesting. I believe that throughout the whole podcast, we've actually mostly agreed.
Yeah. Maybe that's something bad. I don't know. Yeah, but we agree.
No, that's good. We did it for the community.
For the sake of the community, not for us.
For our community, like the two of us. No, I'm just kidding. But just you raised really interesting points and a bit off the track, which are not the typical things that you hear on a daily basis. Because, like if we take the example of the video by Jordan Peterson, which by the way, many people follow, it has plenty of likes. And I believe there is a need for guidance that explains perhaps why this video is so widely seen.
Just as this podcast will be in the future.
Yes, exactly like this. And if we are to keep covering these kind of interesting topics, I'm pretty sure that there will be even a larger audience with it. But anyhow, the whole idea was that these topics really lend themselves to speaking about different secondary or whatever, different topics, different themes. And this is what we've been doing today, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, in Peterson's words, this was kind of a meta debate, when he speaks about the Bible and the meta text, so it's topics that lead to secondary topics.
Yeah, of course, and facing in high-level vocabulary, which, by the way, you've done it, brilliantly.
Wow.
Brilliant, an amazing job.
Well.
So perhaps some of you guys might be wondering how you've managed to master the language, how to master English so well. Can you tell us about that?
Well, I started studying English when I was really little in school. So, of course, I suppose it's the main reason for me being
Like how little?
so uncomfortable. I believe that the first classes that I can recall of English were with 5 years or so.
Okay, so you're like 5 years, more or less. Okay.
Yeah, really little. Then I suppose that I really love English and I keep using it just because it's really useful in daily life, mostly due to YouTube and written information, articles or whatever. So I really use it in my daily life. It's not something that I do in a compulsory way. I need to do it and I force myself to do it. It's really useful, and I hope that you all agree with me that it's really important and useful in our daily lives.
So you expose yourself to English on a daily basis, not because you have to, but because that's where you gain the knowledge from.
That's it, yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay, is there anything you recommend the ones listening to us, to do so they can enhance their level?
Yes, really simple recommendations and very typical ones at the same time. I recommend a lot to listen a lot of stuff in English, like YouTube videos, podcasts, and films. I know it's really boring at the beginning, but it's even excruciating because you don't really understand what's going on in the movie. And also reading, it's really useful, and reading out loud.
Reading aloud.
Yeah, that's extremely useful to learn to be more fluent or whatever. It's of course, writing, it's great, but writing requires of much more effort and time. So reading out loud is kind of this intermediate exercise.
So how does work for you? I mean, when do you read out loud, like whenever you grab a book, or is it just a specific thing a day you do, or how do you do that?
I speak out loud English in two cases. First of all, when we are speaking in our classes and improvising, that's the most fun way to learn English, I suppose. And then I sometimes do force myself here. Yes, I force myself to read 1 minute or two. Mostly when I am preparing an exam or an interview or whatever in English, I force myself to read out loud 2 minutes per day, not more, an English text, one that it's really good written. Don't choose.
Like scientific papers or anything.
Yeah, but I don't know, something that's really good written, and read it out loud with a really good intonation. Not only accent, of course, but intonation. So really changing the way, the speed and the register of your voice.
Yeah, the pitch, you speak...
intonation
like
and accent. So
Indeed.
Because part of speaking a language is understanding kind of the idiosyncrasy.
Crosses,
Yeah, okay. Of the way they pronounce everything, and they like the musicality of it.
Indeed.
So it's not only the accent, but also the musicality behind the speech. That's also important.
Music, one of the biggest backgrounds of Juanan.
That's true.
Music.
For another day, that topic.
For another day. But anyhow, I think you made a really interesting point, and something that most of us perhaps didn't think of, like reading aloud as a training, not necessarily for a specific exam, but for just upgrading our intonation.
Yes.
At times, you may have a perfect pronunciation, but you may speak, with the same pitch, tone of voice as you might do it in your mother tongue. And that makes it difficult for the one listening to you to actually understand,
Yes, and to get used to say things that you will never say on your own. By reading high-level texts, you get used to saying certain things that are, of a higher level.
Okay. So, Juanan, it was a pleasure having you today.
Thank you.
I just wish Alonso was here so we could have like a conversation and a debate, the three of us, perhaps for next time.
Yeah, who knows?
Thank you very much for coming, and we hope to see you soon again.
Well, thank you very much for inviting me. It was great, and I hope you like it also.
Yeah. Bye-bye, guys. Hola, ¿qué tal? Soy Rox de Salón de Idiomas. Pues bien, hoy el podcast lo presento yo, ya que Alonso se ha cogido unas muy merecidas vacaciones. El episodio que os traemos ahora es muy interesante, pues entrevistamos a un alumno, Juan Antonio, al que admiro mucho, entre otras cosas por su agudeza mental. Para la fecha de estreno de este podcast, Juan Antonio habrá llevado con nosotros 1 año y medio como alumno. En nuestro episodio tiene un poco de presión encima, ya que en este podcast, su primero por cierto, así que ya me diréis qué os ha parecido, va a hablar sobre temas interesantes introduciendo gradualmente palabras y expresiones de nivel avanzado. Ahora, si escuchas este podcast desde Spotify o cualquier app en la que nuestro podcast está en formato audio, te recomiendo que vayas a nuestro canal de YouTube y lo veas en vídeo, ya que a lo largo de esta entrevista iremos mostrando las expresiones en pantalla. El asunto que empezamos a tratar es la Agenda 2030 y la primera pregunta que le hago a Juan Antonio es corroborar con él si ya ha oído hablar del tema. Como es obvio, Juanan ya es muy conocedor de este asunto y empieza a usar exquisitas palabras de nivel C1-C2. La primera que menciona es pervasive, que viene a ser omnipresente o ubicuo, es decir, que este tema está en la boca de todo el mundo. Yo estoy de acuerdo con él y uso la palabra far-reaching o de amplio alcance, trascendental, a la que él completa este perfecto amalgama de sinónimos con la palabra ubiquitous, que viene a significar lo mismo que las dos anteriores. Eso sí, nuestro invitado le resta importancia a la magnitud que a priori la Agenda 2030 parece tener, diciendo que no es dire o un tema demasiado grave, pues su objetivo es traer efectos positivos en la conservación del medio ambiente. El problema con la Agenda 2030, recalca Juanan, reside en cómo implementar las medidas que este proyecto de amplio alcance establece. Yo sí me muestro un poco asustada con las medidas, incluida la de reducir el uso de coches, y menciono la palabra cut down on o reducir, un vocablo que más de una vez usamos en nuestros podcasts. Tras dejarnos el ejemplo de cómo ciertos países implementarían las medidas, ambos concluimos en que puede ser un tema contentious o polémico. Juanan, de hecho, usa la expresión idiomática the elephant in the room para referirse a este tema tan presente y del que da cosa hablar. Esta expresión hace referencia a una verdad incómoda y os recomiendo usarla siempre que os venga a mano. Con la intención de variar un poco el tema, nuestro invitado decide darle un acercamiento o outlook distinto al asunto de la Agenda 2030 para centrarse en cómo se podría debatir de forma productiva o fruitful. Empieza a darnos 5 pasos. Os recomiendo que aprendáis cómo podéis debatir de forma efectiva siguiendo los pasos que Juanan nos ha dejado. Yo sin duda los pondré en práctica. El primer paso que Juanan nos invita a hacer en un debate es cerciorarnos que el tema que tratemos o revolve around es real o simplemente un malentendido. En esencia, hay que asegurarse que el tema stems from o surge de un evento o asunto real, pues existe el riesgo de no abide by o atenerse al motivo original del debate. Los dos estamos de acuerdo que a veces lo que lleva a un malentendido y a un error en la comunicación de nuestros argumentos es precisamente la falta de coherencia en nuestros propios pensamientos. Bien, el segundo paso que nos menciona Juanan es evaluar si nuestro desacuerdo es lo suficientemente importante para justificarlo. Es decir, es recomendable no lanzarse directamente a discutir, sino pararse a pensar si vale la pena empezar a crear argumentos. Aquí hacemos referencia al tema de exámenes oficiales y nuestro invitado opina, y estoy totalmente de acuerdo con esto, que solo al tener coherencia mental podremos introducir de forma efectiva palabras de nivel avanzado en nuestro speaking y temas ejercicios de producción en exámenes oficiales. Aquí, con mucho entusiasmo, pregunto a Juanan cómo podríamos conseguir idear buenos argumentos en poco tiempo, ya que en exámenes oficiales solemos tener pocos minutos a disposición o at hand. Nuestro alumno nos dice que, si bien es cierto que en parte nuestros conocimientos previos nos pueden ayudar, es muy importante o paramount ser específicos y concretos en lo que decimos. La pregunta que me surge aquí es si eso significa que tengamos que dar o provide respuestas cortas. Nuestro invitado opina que ser conciso es siempre mejor. Yo estoy de acuerdo y de hecho comento que la lengua inglesa, al tener una índole menos romántica que el castellano y más científica, siempre se aprecia que seamos concisos y no nos explayemos o linger demasiado. Además, es una regla. Cuanto más te alargues, más prone o propenso eres a cometer errores. Volviendo a los pasos para llevar a cabo un buen debate, Juana nos comenta que el último paso a seguir es que las personas implicadas en el debate o the parties engaged in the debate se pregunten si están considerando el objetivo del debate de la misma manera. Él, de forma muy bonita, utiliza el sustantivo alignment o el verbo to be aligned cuando se refiere a las partes implicadas en un debate. Eso quiere decir que los participantes en una discusión han de tener una posición neutra siguiendo la misma línea. De forma ilustrativa, nos comenta que los debates de hoy en día están más orientados a herir al otro o sobreponer las ideas de uno por encima a toda costa, no matter what. Le comento que a veces, incluso en mi caso, me es difícil aceptar opiniones distintas o renunciar más rápido a mis argumentos. Añado además que veo esto con frecuencia en mis clases, sobre todo cuando tengo que dar feedback a los alumnos. Y es que parece que mucha gente tiene un escudo o shield a la hora de dejar entrar ideas diferentes, por miedo tal vez a perder sus propias ideas o tal vez incluso porque puedan herir su ego. Ojo, que no es lo más común. Nuestro invitado opina que es normal y natural, pues nuestras ideas definen nuestra persona y que la manera de dejar de ser tan testarudos y pegados a nuestras ideas es pensar en el bien de la comunidad, de la gente con la que hablamos y nos relacionamos, y que no hay nada de malo en estar equivocado. En un cambio en la conversación, Juanan relaciona este tema un tanto filosófico a Jordan Peterson, pues es un herald o mensajero precisamente de este mensaje, el de dejar el ego de lado. Aquí expreso mi admiración por Peterson porque, indiferentemente de las ideas que promulgue, es una persona realmente coherente que sabe hablar o utter con consistencia y porque transmite o conveys sus pensamientos de una forma sorprendentemente lógica. Nuestro invitado además opina que eso no es solo un rasgo de inteligencia, sino también de sabiduría o wisdom, porque además de poder expresarse de forma impecable, Jordan Peterson también sabe cómo debatir. A continuación, ponemos un vídeo corto del personaje del que estamos hablando y que esperemos os haya gustado. Bien, tras el vídeo corto de Jordan Peterson, aunque o albeit Juan Antonio está de acuerdo con lo que el vídeo promulga, añade que para él habría otra forma más de vivir, distinta de la que Jordan Peterson habla en su vídeo, que, si lo habéis visto, hace referencia a que uno no tiene que hacer siempre lo que quiere, sino que tiene que pensar en las consecuencias futuras de lo que haga ahora. Lo que añade Juanan en cuanto a cómo ver la vida es aceptar la realidad de una forma más resiliente y pensar que la no presencia del mal ya es bueno, sin necesidad de perseguir un estilo de vida hedonista. Muy profundo, sin lugar a dudas. Voy concluyendo que a lo largo del podcast, Juanan y yo hemos estado de acuerdo en la mayoría de los argumentos y bromeo que lo hemos hecho por la comunidad, que, si recordáis, tal y como decía nuestro alumno antes, el debate puede ser productivo si pensamos en la comunidad. También pensamos que el motivo por el que Jordan Peterson resuena tanto entre la gente es porque hay una necesidad de guidance o guía. Además mencionamos que todos estos temas se han ido prestando o lend itself to a desarrollar temas secundarios. En la última parte de nuestra entrevista pregunto a nuestro invitado cómo ha llegado a dominar o master el inglés también. Nos comenta que empezó su inmersión en la lengua desde muy pequeño, cuando tenía alrededor de 5 años. Además, usa el inglés a diario porque lo considera realmente útil para el día a día. A la pregunta de qué consejos daría a la gente para mejorar su nivel, nos comenta que estar expuesto a diario, escuchando podcasts, viendo vídeos en YouTube o viendo películas es recomendable. Aparte, una cosa que a él le gusta hacer es leer en voz alta como ejercicio intermedio. A veces lo hace leyendo alto en clase o a veces se esfuerza por hacerlo a diario, unos 2 o 3 minutos, leyendo cualquier texto en inglés, no demasiado complicado. Para él, como se habla, la musicalidad de la lengua es una idiosincrasia o elemento peculiar de una lengua. Despedimos el podcast agradeciendo a Juan Antonio que haya aceptado ser nuestro invitado. Esperamos que este episodio haya sido de vuestro agrado. Recordad que en Salón de Idiomas tenemos podcast, entradas de blog, demos de exámenes oficiales, preparación de exámenes oficiales, clases de inglés y todo lo que queráis. Síguenos y seguidnos en las redes sociales, nuestro canal de YouTube para estar al tanto de todo. Un fuerte abrazo a todos.